these are plans for 2 tables that I need to build for somebody. These are 2 of the legs for those 2 tables. The problem is that these legs need to be tapered, and I don't currently have a tapering jig. That means I've got to figure out what tapering jig I want, and then I'm going to have to build it. Now, I was watching somebody the other day, and they had a video up, and he had a sign on the wall that said, just build the damn jig. So that's what we're going to do. It ain't going to be temporary, it's going to be a permanent jig, and we're just going to build a damn jig. So let's do some research and figure it out just exactly what it is we want to build.
I use the most because it's the best one out there, in my opinion. It was designed by shaker furniture maker Richard Beebe, and it appeared in Fine Woodworking magazine more than a decade ago. I believe it was issue 178. My version is slightly different, but we'll get to that shortly.
Okay, let's go build it. Well, that was dumb. I thought I had the blade high enough. Apparently I did not. See if I can fix that. Okay, it's a little dusty. Let's clean it up. Okay, what we're doing with the router table is I've got to make a 1/4-inch slot in each one of these pieces here. So I got to go find a 1/4-inch bit, and I think it's going to be easier to do it while the stock is square. So let's go get a bit, get it chucked up, and then get these cut. I've replaced the bit in the router. I put blue tape on the back, and I've made some marks here so I know where to stop and start my piece. So let's go ahead and cut these slots. Well, that is definitely not a sharp bit. As you can see, it burned its way all the way through. Huh. Maybe I need a new bit. It was in the middle of the cut, so I didn't want to stop. But, here, let me show you something. Look how black that bit is. Woo. All right, time for a new one. And by the power of Amazon, I got a new one the next day. Man, that bit cut, but it sure did burn. I've definitely got it up high enough. Oh, got it up just slightly too high. Alright, let's lower it just a little bit and see what happens. Alright, let's try that and see if that's a little better. Well, that did cut a little bit better. It didn't burn as bad, but it still burned. But it's not nearly as bad as it was. So, all right, let's move on from there. That'll fit. This is the two pieces for the fence for this. So I cut these out and they look like they're going to fit pretty good. But then I flipped one of them over. Actually, flip them both over. And as you can see, if I squeeze this end, I got a huge gap down here. So what we're going to do is we're going to flip them both that way, and then I'm going to glue them and clamp them, and that should straighten them out. I'm probably going, for a little while, going to clamp them to the cast iron tabletop. That way they'll stay nice and straight and flat. All right, let's go clamp that down. All right, that ought to keep it flat. Did you see any of that? A little dark, huh? Oh well. Okay, I need to round off these ends, so we are going to go 1 inch back from the edge. We are in a massive rain cycle here in Texas right now. So when there is a break in the rain, people are out doing their yards and trying to get their yards mowed because the yards are growing like crazy. So you're going to hear stuff in the background of people who are trying to get their yards mowed. Okay, we are going to round this over like that on all of these. So let's get that part done. Closer. All right, we'll live with that one. All right, I'm gonna go figure out the rest of these, and then I'm gonna nip off the corners here at the bandsaw, and then we're gonna go to the sander and see if we can't sand these down to the line. Well, I think I screwed up, but I think I can fix it. Yeah, if you take a look, I rounded off the wrong end on the long piece. That was just supposed to be squared off. All right, so let's go around the other end, and then we're going to figure out how I'm going to fix that. Okay, I got to go to the bandsaw so I can nip that off, and I will be right back. Okay, let's go fix this one. Okay, here's how we're going to fix this. I'm going to lose about 1/8 of an inch in length, but I don't think it's going to matter. So we're going to do it this way. I'll cut that off at the table saw, and then I'm going to cut the rest of it at the bandsaw and go back to the sander. So you've already seen me do some of this, so I'm just going to go get it done. And just like that, we're fixed. So next, I need a 3/4 inch dowel. So I found this. If I can get this stupid thing to focus. So I think that's going to work for us. I got to split that in half. Ooh, it didn't move. Good deal. All right. Now we'll just let that dry. All right, we need to lay out some holes, and then we're going to have to glue this piece in. So, let me lay out the holes first. Okay, we've got 5 inches from the end. Both ends, actually. And then 2 inches from the side. 2 inches. 2 inches. And then I've got where I go. It's supposed to be 15 1/4, and then 1 inch back. Okay, that's our 3 holes. Okay, from center, this thing's going to go back 3 inches on each side. So I'm there on that. And then it's flush with the back of this. So we got a mark right here. And that's where that's going to live. So I think what I want to do is hit the bottom of this with some sandpaper. Maybe hit this with a little bit of sandpaper too. And then go ahead and glue this down. This brush is stiff. I've been using it for glue today. I just need to spread this out a little though, so it can be okay. Let's try not to get any on that. Although that surface isn't really used, so it doesn't really matter. All right. Let's clean this up just a little bit right there. And let's glue it down. Whoop, sorry, didn't mean to kick you. Okay, let me get some spring clamps. I'm hoping these will reach. Maybe, okay. Let's see. It moved just a hair. See if I can move it back. That looks pretty close. I think we're going to live with that. Okay, this piece needs holes too, so we got to figure out where the holes are in this. That says 5 inches from the end, and then 1 1/4 up. So let's mark those holes. And now we can drill those holes. This jig is not going together as easily as I had hoped. I have downloaded the plans off of the Stumpy Nubs website. I've also downloaded the PDF from Fine Woodworking. And to me, it looks like both these people built this jig differently. Let me show you my problem. This piece here that has this side of the clamp on it, there's 3 of these carriage bolts that go through it. There's 1 here, 1 on this end, 1 in the center. The long one goes through the center. The long one is not the big issue here, but the short ones are, because I don't know if the short ones go only through this board or they go all the way through the base. This has to get held to that base somehow. You're either going to have to glue it or you're going to have to screw it, one of the two. No jokes. So, now I lost my train of thought. Thanks a lot. It looks like James over at Stumpy Nubs glued it, but he does not show putting glue on this. And according to the fine woodworking plan, this is screwed all the way through the base. Now you're going to have to recess this, and I got 3/4 of an inch plywood. That's what I'm using, so I can absolutely do it. But the question is, how do I want to secure this? So I don't know. Let's see if we can't figure this out. Okay, let's go ahead and get the fence glued on before we tackle anything else. Nope. Spring clamps ain't gonna work. Oh man, that moved like crazy, didn't it? All right, I'm gonna leave this just slightly back from the base because this is gonna ride against the fence, so I don't want this being kicked out. Okay, one measurement that I can't seem to find anywhere, I've looked at James's plan and I've also looked at the one in fine woodworking, is this measurement from where you're going to drill this hole to the edge, or from here to this edge, whichever, doesn't matter, but there's nothing here. So looking at the plan, I'm going to make a wild guess, and we're going to go 4 inches. We're going to do 4 inches from this edge and 4 inches from this edge. Do the best we can do here with what we got to work with. And then we're going to drill these 3 holes all the way through. Now, this hole is too far over for my little drill press, so I'm going to have to drill that one by hand. But these 2 I think I can get in the drill press, so we're going to do those first, and then I'll do this one by hand. And then we're going to have to countersink these, so I'm going to have to countersink the bottoms of these. So let's get that part done. All right, this thing is kind of long and awkward. And hopefully the clamp's not going to be in the way, and the clamp is in the way. Now what? I'm going to have to elevate that. Alright. Alright, I got this elevated now. This is not going to be easy because it's a little awkward. But let's see if I can get everything to line up correctly to drill a hole. Ooh, boy, that is just about perfect. Okay. I need to come out just a hair. And I'm going to call that right there good. Now, I'm going to hold that as hard as I can and drill it. Done. All right. Ooh. Let's drill the other one. Alright, your battery died, so let's see if we can figure this out. Okay, no matter what I do, the clamp is either hitting the table or it's hitting something or something. So, we're going to spin this table just a little bit. And then I'm not going to drill all the way through this because otherwise I will hit the table and I will destroy my bit. So we're just going to kind of do the best we can do with this and hope for the best. I'll have to finish it with a drill. All right, we're going with that right there. All right, let's go over and get a drill and finish this off. The center hole, I have to drill by hand anyway because it won't fit in my drill press, which we already discussed. So I'm just going to have to do the best I can to try to keep that straight. All right, I don't have one of those drilling guides. I should, but I don't. So we're going to use this little square and just kind of eyeball it. I need to put one of those things in my cart. They're cheap. in my Amazon cart. They're cheap, and I don't know why I don't have one, but I don't. All right, we're going with that right there. That bit's not very sharp, is it? For better or worse, that's it. Now, typically, I like to make a very small hole so that the point of the Forstner bit goes in, and then you get a very centered hole. However, this is just kind of a down and dirty jig. I'm actually going to use a bigger Forstner bit than what I really need, because it's just all it's got to do is recess the head. So that's what we're going to do. That's about as far down as I want to go. Let's see if it fits. Oh yeah, that's going to work. Okay. It's 100 degrees here in the shop, and I'm just sweating so much I got sweat running in my eyes. Hang on a second. All right, I'm going to get this last hole drilled, and then I will bring you back. Because you're kind of in my way, I need to pull this board down. Okay, so these are carriage bolts. They have a square portion right here at the top under the head. Now I just made round holes and I'm able to recess this, but that right there needs to go in the hole. But I made my hole just slightly large, so I'm hoping that whenever I crank these down, they're just going to pull into place. Alright, let's put a washer on this, and a wing nut, and see if this will work. Something's working. Well, I can't spin it, so I'm going to say that it's seated. All right, let's do the other two, and then we'll put this thing together. Okay, let's see how much of this we can get together here. Does that go that way? That probably goes that way, huh? Okay, so now I need these two. That's got to go through there. Those have to be recessed. Okay, let me go do that and I'll be back. Okay, it's a little ugly, but I was able to get it recessed. Pounded them in with a hammer, so now they're locked in place. So let's see if we can get this to do what it is we want it to do. Alright, this is supposed to have a nut and a washer on it. Alright, that is a nylon locking nut, so that should stay in place. That goes on there like that. That goes on there. That goes on that way. That goes on there. Now, I don't have any star knobs or anything, but I've ordered some off of Amazon. So, hopefully those will be here tomorrow, and I can swap out these wing nuts for proper star knobs. But this should get us through right now in a pinch. Alright, that's put together. Now let's put these other two together. Alright, so we're going to put a large washer there. Are we putting a washer there? Yeah, we put a large washer here too. That goes on like that. Is that right? No, that's wrong. I got this backwards. This goes like this. Okay, which makes way more sense. All right, this is a lock nut. This is a wing nut, because I don't have anything else, and another large washer. No, that was stupid because it's supposed to have a washer on it. Why didn't you tell me? Let me do that and then have to do it over again. There it is. That's the whole jig. So now let's test it and see if this thing will do what it's supposed to. Alright, what I want to do is I want to simulate a real world cut. But I don't want to cut the actual board because I want to make sure this thing works before I do anything. So what we're going to do is we're going to cut that right there because that will be the same width as this board. And then we're going to put it in the tapering jig and see if I can make a taper and see if this comes out right. Alright, so this board is supposed to be 3.5, which it is. And we're going down to 2 inches. So we're going to make a mark at 2. And now I need a straight edge. Why do I think my wife took my ruler? I'll be back. Yep, just like I thought. She had it. Okay. We're going to strike a line here. And let's see how we do. Well, here's the problem. There's not enough room in that. Can you see? You can't see. Let me get you off of the stand. Hang on a second. Okay. Here's the problem. I adjusted this as far out as it'll go on this end here. Okay, we can't go out any further, but that is not far enough to reach the board. So now that taper is lined up correctly down here, and it's lined up correctly there, but it's not up against this fence, so it's not going to cut it. So, or it's not going to cut it correctly. So now we got to figure this out. Do I cut the jig, or do I make longer arms? I don't know. Let me think about this a minute. Okay, I don't know what happened, and I don't know where I got this measurement from, but this right here, this bar, is in the wrong place. So what I need to do is I need to drill 3 new holes and move this up. So we're going to relocate this because I don't want to cut this shorter, because if I have a big panel or something I want to cut, I want the extra room here. So we're going to move these 3 holes, move this closer, and that should solve this problem. Okay, here's another issue that I just figured out. This is cut too long. And the reason it's cut too long is because I cut it from this piece of plywood. But I didn't take into account that this fence was going to sit on top of this piece of plywood. So it's not going to be as long as the plywood. It's only going to be as long as from the fence to the end. In other words, that. So now I got to fix that too. And I can't just cut it shorter. I got to cut some off of each end, because otherwise these won't line up right. Okay, if I line this fence up with this edge of the board, and then I come down here and I look and I measure, I'm gonna say about 1 3/4 inches probably would get me there. So I'm gonna move everything over 1 3/4 of an inch. So I'm gonna go make some holes and re-drill all of this, and I'll be back in a minute. I just got this drill block from Miles Craft. It was pretty cheap. I don't remember how much it was, like $8 or something like that, off of Amazon. I haven't used it yet, so we're going to see if this is going to help me drill straight holes. No, that doesn't look too bad. Alright, just in case any of you out there try to build this monstrosity, if you need this dimension from this front edge that's going to ride by the blade, I went 8 1/4 inches. So there you go. There's the dimension for that. Okay, let's put this thing together, and now let's try to test it and see if I can make it work. First thing I'm going to have to do is I'm going to have to cut this little bit off of the fence so that everything lines up perfectly. So I'm going to make a very, very, very shallow cut just to square everything up. Okay, let's cut a taper. All right, now we got to secure it with the hold down. And let's do right about there. That looks good. That's not going anywhere. All right, let's go up a little bit on the blade. Okay, let's do it. Well, there you have it. That would be a tapered leg. Not too bad. That thing was a pain in the butt to build, but I think it's going to do the job I need it to do. So now I can get on with tapering legs for the coffee table build that I have coming up. Well, my knobs came in from Amazon. I'll leave a link to these in the description. They're pretty cool. They're small, so I actually kind of like that fact. They're a little smaller than what I was thinking they were going to be, but I think they're going to work just fine. So, let's see. Oh yeah, that's perfect. I like that. All right. I got all those knobs for $5, I think, or something. So that's a really good deal on Amazon if you need some small knobs. Well, this thing was kind of a beast to build. It took me a lot longer than I thought. It was really hard to find dimensions. There was just nothing really clear cut on this. But I got it built eventually. So if you're going to build this, I do highly recommend it. I really like the way it works, and it works exactly like the way I wanted it to, which was right up against the fence and give me a good cut. Yeah, you can slap something together real quick, but I need to be able to make tapered legs, and I don't want to have to slap something together every single time I want to make a tapered leg. So that's why I wanted a permanent solution. This gives me another jig to use in my arsenal, and it also takes up space. So now I got to find some place to put it. This shop is a complete wreck after this build, and now I've got to go clean. But keep your eyes open for my next video, because you'll see this being used for sure. If you wouldn't mind hitting that subscribe button on the way out, I sure would appreciate it. And go watch this video next. Does my hair look okay? Okay, Mr. DeMille, I'm ready for my close-up. The jig works exactly the way I designed, or the way it's, the jig works. It works. It actually works. It works, which is good because I spent a lot of time building it.